I'm going to start this by taking you guys on a journey and bringing this picture to life. And it's going to be a little bit painful for me. So I want you to add a prairie windstorm to this, okay? Short, chubby little girl, spandex shorts, swinging and missing at that tee. Swinging and missing at that tee, okay? And you're thinking, how do you swing and miss at a tee, on a tee ball, right? It's because you're watching a gopher run across the field while your parents cheer you on, okay? That was my introduction to sport. At a young age, probably 6, 7, 8, my parents thought that I needed to engage in sport. They started with t-ball, certainly, and they went on to other things, because I would quit. Swinging and missing with dust in your eyes, spandex shorts, not really an ideal situation for a young girl to engage in sport. So what did they do? They put me in gymnastics in a bodysuit and told me to try and flip around this bar, and I failed. So I quit. Then what? We tried dance. Another bodysuit, this time with sequins, because that might catch my attention. And off I went to tap across the stage. And I quit. For some reason, I continued to be disengaged in sport. For some reason, my parents continued to register me in new sports and activities. What a painful first 6, 7 years of my life, right? I'm trying to think back, and as I was preparing for this, I really wanted to try and understand why they continued to register me in sport, okay? Both my parents come from a rural prairie background, and they were both athletic to some extent. My dad often talks about how he would play baseball in the pasture with cow patties as bases or avoiding them, right? He talks about how he won the high school championship or still holds some record for running the 60-yard dash in a rural high school track meet. He also claims to have done so barefoot in four-trail pants, probably on a carriage with horses on the way to school. Crazy stories. But sport was such a part of their life, never in a way that really was directed at competition, never in a way that was directed at achieving anything. It was just a part of their fabric. My mom, I remember going to watch her curl, always to the curling rink with her broom, and we would go and sit and watch, and she was just there curling for fun. And so, as I thought about all this, I kept thinking, why did they keep pushing us to be involved in sport? They weren't trying to create elite athletes, that really wasn't their thing, but they saw value in sport for some reason. I didn't get that until a few years ago. So I quit about everything. And my dad said, I can't believe I just put this picture up there of myself, not him, that's his deal. He grew that mustache and he chose that tracksuit, let's be honest. The team, they gave me that uniform, I had no choice. My dad all of a sudden decided that he would sign up to coach, okay? So I'm talking again about a prairie farm boy who, quite frankly, I think had never touched a soccer ball. We were living in a city at the time where soccer was the dominant sport, very cultured, very exciting community of soccer. And he decided that if he signed up to coach, I would have to sign up to play. He knew that if he participated every week, I would participate. And so off we went, looking as good as we do, to the soccer field, twice a week, once for practice, once for a game. He registered me in community soccer. There was a tryout process, a painful tryout process. I was cut from the Division I to the Division II to the Division III team. If ever there was a reason for me to quit sport, it should have been this year, right? But my dad was participating. He knew if he showed up, I would show up. And so off we went to play Division III soccer. I was 9 years old, and we had a horrible year. We didn't win much, right? My dad understood something about sport, though, that I still had yet to understand. He brought together 15 girls that year, and he made it fun, and that was it. In part, maybe because he really didn't know how to coach technically, okay? So here's the ball, go play, let's bond, here's some team building stuff. In part, maybe because he understood a larger intrinsic value in sport beyond winning and developing skills and competing. So we went on that first year to not win any games, maybe one, I don't know. He probably has a score sheet and tells you that we won a lot, but we didn't. And that next year, I signed up to play again. And not only did I sign up to play again, all the girls on that same team signed up to play again. That next year, we went back to the tryout process, typical community soccer. That was the way it was structured at the time. And Some of us that year made the Division II team, so we had improved. Had our skills improved? Probably a little bit. Had our confidence improved? Probably a lot. Our coach had taught us that it was okay to step out of your bounds on the sidelines. It was okay to engage in the sport. He taught us to be confident enough to just be a little bit more aggressive, step a little bit further, run a little bit faster. And so some of us went on and enjoyed greater success in sport. The next year, we went back again. That year, I actually made the Division I team with about 8 girls again, and my dad stopped coaching. He recognized, let's be honest, we were beyond his skill level. We were 10, and we were beyond his skill level. He knew it, we knew it, everybody knew it. But he came to every game, and he came to every practice, and he sat there as a parent watching. Not with an iPhone, granted they didn't exist back then, not with a book, not with a magazine. He sat and he watched. And we got in the car after every practice, after every game, and he said, "Good job. How did you feel? Did you have fun?" I said, "Yeah, it was good." "No, it sucked." "Okay, well, we'll try again next week." He never coached me in the car. He never said, "You should have done this, you should have done that, you should have," oh, I'm losing the mic there, guys. "You should have gone faster, you should have shot then." He didn't coach. He understood his role had transitioned from coach to parent, supportive parent. My journey in sport that day took off. I went on to play at high levels and certainly enjoyed a lot of success. But what my dad did was that he brought a group of girls together. We enjoyed the benefits of sport in a way that I don't think we really fully understood. It wasn't about winning. Organically, that happened because of the training we'd had. But we just wanted to be together. Okay? He understood that if you put a group of girls together, they would just want to come back. Research tells us the #1 reason why girls engage in sport is for the social aspect of it. They want to be with friends. Right? As a parent, when I think of these things and I think of how all this played out, I think often of how I register my own child for activities now, and the first thing I always want to do is say, "And can you put her on the same team as her school friends?" Right? My soccer friends weren't my school friends. My soccer friends were another set of friends. They were a safe haven when things weren't going great at school with school friends, like they do for all girls at different stages in their life. They were a bunch of girls that I met 25 years ago on a soccer field, with a ball at our feet, but with a bigger purpose. This is what's happened to these girls now. You can see we still play soccer once a week. We still think we can win. We now have knee braces. We think it's okay to wear sweatpants to play. We wear spandex under our shorts. Some of us wear blue sneakers, because why would you need cleats? That's just a waste of money. You'll also notice that we have to pay for our own uniforms now, so we buy cheap white t-shirts and silk screen them ourselves. Right? But we still show up every week to play. My journey in sport continued, and then it came to a competitive end, obviously, and I went on to start my professional career as a teacher. I taught the 6th grade, and I also had a daughter, had a child at that time too. And I was so excited to teach. I was so excited to teach because I wanted to coach. I wanted to give back those same lessons, those same opportunities, those same experiences that I had had as an athlete. So I signed up to coach every team you can imagine: volleyball, basketball, track and field, cross country, you name it. I registered my daughter in every activity I could think of too. I just wanted to relive that experience. And I noticed right away when I was coaching, it was the same kids always showing up for the team. They were disengaged. They were already playing sport in the community. They weren't really that interested in what I was offering. In my phys ed classes, I noticed a lot of girls were checking out before they'd even checked in. They'd come without shoes. They'd come with a note from their mom. They really just didn't want to participate. I was missing the mark. I was missing the mark tremendously, and I knew that I had to change that. I knew that I had to find a way to provide that same opportunity for all the girls that I was working with, and for my daughter as well. So I went and did some research, got myself a great mentor, actually a professor at the university, and we started looking at some of the things written about girls in sport and some of the literature out there. And I learned right away that if a young girl is not engaged in sport and physical activity before the age of 10, we've lost her. Before the age of 10, That's grade 5. The majority of our extracurricular school activities for sport start in grade 6, 7, and 8. We'd missed the opportunity. I'd missed the opportunity. And I wasn't going to miss the opportunity with my daughter. I also learned in doing that research that I was missing the mark because I was disconnected from the experiences that had brought me to where I came in sport. I stepped out of a competitive sport world, and I continued in that frame. I had forgotten that what my dad did to get me to that point was that he made it fun. Was that he brought a bunch of girls together on a soccer field and let us play. It wasn't about winning. It wasn't about competition. It was about having us fall in love with the game so we could go on and enjoy those successes. So armed with all this new information, feeling quite guilty about the damage I'd done in the 2 years probably prior to that, coaching and teaching, I decided that we needed to do something. I looked to one of my mentors, an academic, and I said to her, when we discovered this statistic, that we only had till really the age of 10 to capture these girls, and I said, well, we have to do something about it. And she said to me, well, June, my background's in high school, physical education. She said, yours is in elementary education. And I went, oh, thanks. I got that message. And so I started a program that next year with the intent of using sport as a tool. I understood now that sport was not just a game. Sport was a tool to teach bigger lessons. Sport was a tool that had fostered friendship for me, lifelong friendship. Sport was a tool that allowed me to step out as a leader, to be confident, and to try new things, to take risks. I learned on a soccer field that if I was playing defense way back, and I saw an opportunity to go for the goal, I knew that if I took that ball and took off, a teammate would come in and fill in for me. I could take a risk on a soccer field and know someone had my back. And so I thought, how can we make this happen for young girls? We created a program that introduced them to every sport possible. Football, soccer, volleyball, basketball, horseback riding, water polo, you name it. And we took sport as a tool to teach them how to develop healthy friendships. We took sport as a tool to teach them about self-esteem. We thought if we could teach them how to throw a football like a quarterback and tackle like a linebacker, that we would empower them with a really strong foundation to jump and throw and kick and do whatever they wanted to do in life. And so the program took off, and we thought that we were doing a great job, like all coaches do and teachers do, I think. And sometimes you wonder, wow, that was a great lesson, but did it really have an impact? So the girls were allowed to stay in our program till the age of 10. We knew that that's what the research said. We invited them to go off and join competitive sport. We would invite them to go off and join artistic programs and all sorts of things, but we challenged them when they left our program to take the skills they learned as leaders and expand on that. Yes, you can throw a football. That means that you have a skill, but what are you going to do with it? And if you don't play football, that skill is still applicable. Those were the lessons we taught them. And so I had a moment last spring. Didn't really know if any of these girls had gone on. I hadn't seen any of them in any really organized sports settings, and I was watching my son play flag football one day out on the fields, and it was a big organized league. There's 1,200 kids registered in this league, ranging in age kind of 6 to 18. And I noticed on the field beside where my son was playing that there was 3 girls on this one team. About 11 kids in total, 3 girls on the team. And I noticed that all 3 of them had come through our program. And I thought to myself, all 3 of them, they registered as friends. That's great, right? Football, co-ed football, that's brave. Wow. And then I saw the coach call in the play. And I saw him tell this young boy, the quarterback, to throw the ball to this girl. I saw him tell her what pattern she had to run. She knew the route, and they both acknowledged, and off they went to the field. We taught that girl how to catch football. We taught that girl how to run those patterns. I was excited. My son, I wasn't even watching. Poor guy, but let's be honest. There's 3 girls on a football field, and I was pretty excited. So the quarterback gets the ball, looks to her, wide open in the end zone. She ran the pattern. She's there. She's ready to catch the ball. He looks left, and he throws it to a buddy who caught the ball for the touchdown and ended the game. And I was mad, right? I was mad. And I had to just calm down, right? My son's over here. I should have been watching that. And I see her crumble a little bit. Physically, you can see her kind of get upset. So I caught up with her after the game, and I said to her, well done. I'm so impressed you're playing football. I'm so impressed that you're continuing on in sport. And she said, well, thanks, but did you see that last play of the game? I said, yeah, I did. She said, he was supposed to throw it to me. Coach called that play. I said, I thought I saw that. She said, should have said something to him. I said, to who? Game's over. What would that accomplish? She said, I should have said something to the coach, and I should have said something to the quarterback. Again, I said, why? She said, so it doesn't happen to another girl again next time. I knew in that moment the power of sport for that girl was tremendous. She had learnt using football as a tool that she had a voice. That she had a voice and that she had an obligation to stand up in the face of injustice. To stand up for what was right for her, but more importantly, to stand up for what was right for those to follow. That's a powerful message in sport. I learned those messages on a soccer field. We teach those lessons to girls in gyms and on football fields all the time. My dad taught me those lessons at a very early age on a football field, soccer field. My mother taught me that I have an obligation, not an option, it's an obligation, to take those skills, to take those tools that I learned on a soccer field, that I learned in an academic classroom, that I learned anywhere, and to share them with others. She taught me that I had an obligation to share what I had learned, to empower others with the tools that I had learned, with the tools that I had been empowered with. And so as I share that story with you, as I share with you my journey in sport, I ask you to pause for 1 minute and think what your tool is. Mine was a soccer ball. Hers was a football. What is your tool? What is your tool? And who can you empower with that tool? Is it a child? Is it a coworker? Is it a partner, a friend, a neighbor? Who is it? Thank you.